You're gonna rotate your hip in, and I want you to... In today's video, I'm gonna go over one piece of the puzzle that just may help you create a little bit more speed in your golf swing and potentially getting you to hit the ball a little bit further. And I'm also gonna explain how you can learn a lot from these three legends right here as it pertains to this one move. And yes, legend has it, Babe could hit the ball over 300 yards. I'd love to see him play golf. Or baseball for that matter. If you are new to this channel and this is the first video you are watching, I want to welcome you. My name is TJ Valentine. I am a 25-year PGA teaching professional, and my hope for this channel is for me to become a guide and help you along your journey to better golf. If you like this type of content, consider subscribing. I hope my stories, my knowledge, my passion, and my experiences can help you in some way. And that leads us into today's question of the day. I want you to comment below. What is your lowest round ever? And have you ever had a hole-in-one? Maybe I'll have one today. And make sure you watch all the way to the end, because potentially this Callaway AI Smoke driver may go to one of my subscribers if I make a hole-in-one in the hole-in-one challenge. And even if I don't make a hole-in-one, maybe I'll give something away. So let's get to work. So there are a lot of pieces of the puzzle to hitting the golf ball further. I've done videos in the past on extension off of the golf ball. I've done videos in the past about launch angle, but there's a lot of things that play into and play a role in ultimately hitting the golf ball further. Ball speed, the speed at which the golf ball comes off of the club face. Put that together with spin rates and launch angles and spin loft and where you hit it on the face. All of those things play vital roles. But if you don't have speed to begin with, you're not going to be able to optimize potentially what you can do at impact. And quite honestly, everybody out there is probably not optimized for speed. And there is one area that I'm going to talk about today that I see every day that a lot of players just aren't, we'll just say, good at. They're just not aware of the cause and effect of it. And I bet you watching this video can get something out of this today, no matter what your physical abilities are. And that leads us down into another path, another conversation. I know not every golfer can do certain things. We are all different as humans. We all have different limitations, physical limitations, mental limitations, time limitations. So I am not giving this one size fits all. If everybody does this and has to do this, it has to be elite level. No. All I'm looking for is you to become a little bit better. And most players that I work with over the past 25 years have a lot of room to improve. And I'm not trying to model you after Tiger or Bryson DeChambeau or Babe or Arnie or Jack, but I want you to understand where some of their speed comes from. And this is just one piece of the puzzle that I'm going to talk about today. It is not the whole piece of the puzzle. Speed comes from many, many different areas. This is one piece of the puzzle that you may be able to pick up 1, 2, maybe 3, maybe more miles per hour. With all things equal, if you can turn those 1, 2, 3, 4 miles per hour into 1, 2, 3, 4 more miles per hour of ball speed, you get 3 yards for every mile per hour. That adds up pretty quickly. So every mile per hour we can gain matters. So let's talk about how to do this and where the cause and effect comes from. So today we're going to talk about width and extension at the top of the golf swing. I've done a video in the past about width off of the golf ball, but we're going to talk about at the top of the golf swing. Now, one thing you've probably heard over time is if we get those hands nice and high, we're going to generate a big arc, and when it comes down to physics, we're going to generate more speed. There is no question. Physics is a real thing. We've all done that exercise before in school where we had the rope with the washer on the end, at least that's what I remember. And when you have a small rope, you have to work hard to make this guy rotate fast. But the longer the rope gets, you have to work less hard, and this guy is moving just as fast. So it's the same thing in the golf swing. If that arc is a little bit bigger, you don't have to work as hard to generate a lot more speed. Also, you gain a little bit more time to do everything we talked about in the last video, which was to create that proper pressure shift. So in the last video, and again, go back and watch it. After you watch this video, go back and watch the pressure shift video. If you have not watched it, it'll make a little bit more sense. I'm not gonna get into that right here. But I'm gonna go from step 1, which is that good setup, step 2, where we need to take the club back in a good position while we're creating a pivot to get to the top of our swing. The top of the swing is what we're going to talk about today. More importantly, it is going to be the difference between our hands at the top of the swing and our trail hip. This is a magic distance right here. You know, not to be too dramatic, but the further away our hands can get from our trail hip, the more elastic we essentially become at that point. That elastic gets pulled and there's more energy that's stored. The closer our hands are to that trail hip, the less that elastic works. To demonstrate this just a little bit further in a second here, I'm gonna grab a long elastic and we're gonna do a little work with that. So essentially, if you can create some distance between your hands at the top of your swing and that trail hip, you're gonna generate a little bit more speed. Now, I do see players that create very high hands at the top of their swing. So they may be thinking they are creating width, but they may be doing that by sliding the pelvis this way, poor rotation on the way back. So the distance between the hands and the trail hip just get much smaller and shorter. We wanna have as much distance as we possibly can. Now, here is the asterisk to all of this. Everybody is different. There's gonna be physical limitations that withhold you from being able to truly do this. Like I said before, I'm not trying to make you swing like Tony Finau, like Bryson DeChambeau, like John Rahm. I'm not, but if we can get a little bit better and we can increase that distance just a little bit, you have the potential to gain a little bit more speed at the end of the day. Our goal is improvement. Our goal isn't perfection. Hey, if we reach perfection, fantastic. That's awesome. Make me look good, make you look good. I'm happy as anything. But our goal is just to improve. So you may have some physical limitations. I've done videos in the past on hip flex or hip rotation limitations and how to get around it a little bit. You may have those limitations, but if I bring a little bit of awareness to what we're trying to achieve here, you might be able to get 1% better. You might be able to get 2% better overall. So again, this ties into our last video, the pressure shift video. Why? Because when that club goes back, I have to rotate in. When I rotate in, I'm not drifting the pelvis, that hip is not drifting back, and I now have an opportunity to create as much width or separation or extension I can get between my hands and that trail hip. Now, if we go back to that video for a second, where once we get to a point where we're almost to the top of our swing, we're gonna create that fall. That fall right there creates even wider stretch at that point. And then we create upward extension there. So how does this pertain to other rotational power sports? So if we think of hitting for a second here, and like I said in the last video, a lot of baseball analogies. It is very, very, very similar. When you look at players historically, like Babe Ruth, and even modern players, Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, guys that have a lot of power, what you notice is when they stride, hands go back, trail hip goes in. Now, what happens as they start to stretch here? The hands go back even further, the hip rotates this way, and then they start to explode in this direction. So the distance between the hands and the trail hip gets larger as they stride. So if I'm here and I stride, hands go back, trail hip goes in. There's a big difference between the hands and the trail hip at that point. If you look at a guy like Ichiro, if you look at a guy like Wade Boggs, Tony Gwynn, singles hitters, doubles hitters, not power hitters, put it that way, they had a lot less distance between their hands and their trail hip. Those guys traditionally didn't get a lot of depth with their trail hip. They were more lateral type of players because they were more singles gap, bat to the ball type of players. How does this go back to golf? It's the same thing. When you get to the top of that swing, you essentially want to have that same feeling. The hands are extended out here. That trail hip is in. There is your separation. There is their separation right there. Very, very similar moves. And I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you're 10 years old, 20 years old, 70 years old, 80 years old. With these proper intentions and thoughts, you can get this a little bit better. Like I said, I'm not trying to make you a tour player. If you become one, phenomenal. Just say hi to me. But I'm not trying to get you. I'm just trying to get you a little bit better. And maybe with this understanding, you will get a little bit better. So let me give you a couple drills and a couple visuals that may help you out here. I'm gonna do a very simple demonstration here and give you also a very simple drill that you can do at home. All you need is a resistance band. So this resistance band, it's a TheraBand. I'm a big resistance band guy, as you can tell back here. I do a lot of exercises with resistance bands, especially as you get older. It's pretty beneficial. But you can pick these up on Amazon. I'll put a link below if you're really interested. But let me give you a little demonstration of what I mean and what I was just talking about. So I'm gonna take the end of this resistance band and I'm gonna put it on my hip. And I'm just gonna take the other end and put it in my right hand. Now, if I don't have any extension at all, there's obviously a lot of slack in this band. Now, if I create some extension, all of a sudden, I create a little bit of stored energy. There's your elastic stretching. Now, if I add a little bit of rotation, ooh, I can feel that elastic, I can feel it stretch even more. There's potential stored energy in there right now when I do that. So if I am just sliding my hips, there's not a lot of stored energy here. There may be a difference between my hands and my hip, but not a lot of stored energy. But if I rotate in as I'm going back, I can feel that really get nice and tight. So I hope that visual helps out with the explanation. Now, you can also use this for a couple of different drills. Number one, and I do this drill a lot. I do this drill a lot myself. Put the band underneath your left foot. Get into your setup. And what I want you to do is move your arms back just like you're swinging a golf club. You're gonna rotate your hip in, and I want you to create as much extension as you possibly can. Obviously, you're gonna feel a lot of resistance as you're doing that. Now, if your arms collapse in, if your arms rotate, if your lead elbow folds, all these things, you're not gonna create as much resistance, and you're gonna feel it. So I want you to feel as much resistance as you can right there. The key is as you can. Don't overextend yourself. Don't try to do something your body is not letting you do. See where your limit is. So if you can work on this exercise every day, you might be able to start to create a better distance separation between your hands and your trail hip at the top of your swing, giving yourself a little better chance to create a little bit more speed in your swing and potentially hit the ball a little bit further. Now let's go make a hole-in-one, win one of you guys a driver. All right, rules are very simple. I get 3 shots. 16th hole here at Augusta. If I make a hole-in-one, this brand new AI Smoke driver is gonna go to one of you guys. All you have to do is be a subscriber, comment below your lowest score ever, and have you ever had a hole-in-one? Now I know this is a long shot. I understand that. Golf is hard. If I do not make a hole-in-one, but I get the ball in a 10-foot circle, I'm gonna give out one mystery golf surprise pack to one of you guys as well. Pin placement is the Sunday pin placement. It is down the bottom of a ridge What I'm trying to do here is start the ball to the right of the pin and have it ride off of that ridge. That has a chance of kicking back to the left. Come on, come on, ball, come on. Come on. Ah, so close. So close, all right. Same spot. Let's see if we can work that ball a little bit more in. I want to give that driver away. That's gonna go a touch. Oh, come on, come on. One of you guys is getting that prize pack. All right, last one for the driver. Oh, be good. Be good. Be good. That wasn't good.